Welcome to my weekly self-important Magic the Gathering show. This is the second week of my pickup week of just the random stuff that was left over from my 32-week challenge. Last week was a single colorless deck and 2 mono white decks. This week I'm going to try to get through 4 mono blue decks. You might notice that this estimated bracket optimized 4, which is wildly outside where I normally put stuff. I'm just checking something. But there's a reason behind that. This deck specifically is based off of a deck that made my best friend on the planet the maddest I've ever seen him in my entire life. And honestly, the only time I've really seen him get mad. This is back in the 90s. And I'll point out the card that the deck was based around originally back, in a 60 card format before Commander existed. But first, let's, and you also notice that, I already put the deck together. So let's get to the Commander. It's Heidar, Rimewind Master. 4 and a blue for a 3/3 human wizard. This guy didn't exist back then, but he was perfect for this deck. We can pay 2 and tap him. To return target permanent to its owner's hand, play this ability only if you control 4 or more snow permanents. Did I have a snow deck back then? Honestly, Ice Age wasn't that good. It is funny to look back. Like, all the cards that were, like, expensive and popular back then, not worth a whole lot now. Very few cards still see play. I remember when people were like, oh man, Icy Manipulator. Which may or may not have been a reprint, because I could have swore that wasn't originally from Ice Age. Anyway, Illusionist Brazers. Whenever an ability of equipped creature is activated, if it isn't a mana ability, copy that ability. You may choose new targets for the copy. So, if we have our commander in play, we can return 2 permanents to their owner's hand. Did I have some kind of bounce deck back in the day? Rings of Bright Hearth, the same thing, except I have to pay another 2. Mechanized Production as a win the game card. Enchant artifact you control at the beginning of your upkeep. Create a token that's a copy of enchanted artifact. Then if you control 8 or more artifacts with the same name as one another, you win the game. We haven't seen any old cards yet. Wizards class, it's mostly for the no maximum hand size, because that might be important. Probably will never do the other 2. I mean, we could pay 3 to draw 2 cards. That isn't the worst. Monastery Siege. When it enters the battlefield, you can choose Khans or Dragons. If you choose Khans, at the beginning of your draw step, draw an additional card and then discard a card. Or Dragons, spells your opponents cast that target you or permanent you control cost 2 more to cast. We're probably going to do Dragons just to make our stuff have Ward 2. Not exactly Ward 2, but, same vein as Norm 2. And because this is bracket 4, we have Game Changers. Narset Part of Veils, just to prevent our opponents to draw more cards. Rhystic Study, so we can draw more cards, theoretically. Teferi's Puzzle Blocks. I don't remember if this card existed back then, but this card is more of just, we have to fill out 100 unique cards, and this is incredibly annoying. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player puts the cards in their hand at the bottom of their library in any order that draws that many cards. That's just a jerk card for jerks. The One Ring, another game changer. And with our commander, we can put it back into our hand, and so we don't have to take burden damage, and we can also re-get this protection from everything until our next turn effect. This card, of course, didn't exist back then either. Mindslaver, because if we're going to be a jerk, let's take over one of our opponent's turns. I might take this one out, except, oh wait, I have Academy Ruins, so I can put that from my graveyard on top of my library. Then we have Inventor's Fair, so we can spend a lot of money to tutor a artifact into our hand. Untap a permanent, so we can use our commander more than once. Mystic Sanctuary to get back an instant or sorcery from our graveyard as long as we have 3 islands in play already. Mana equal to our devotion. No maximum hand size. Snowland. Honestly, this is how we're going to be able to activate our commander. I think these are the only snow permanents in the whole deck. 30 snow-covered islands. Terrain generator to put lands back into play if we draw more. Lightning Greaves to give haste and shroud. Shroud is not ideal, but the equip is 0. Swiftfoot Boots for haste. Crawl space, so no more than 2 creatures can attack us each combat. Dark Plate to give something indestructible. Mithril Coat to give something indestructible. A lot of cards that didn't exist back then. Propaganda. Man, I forget when this first came out, but stuff can't attack us unless they pay 2 for each thing that's attacking us. Mana Vault. As a game changer, I don't have Crypt in here, which I could, because I put this deck together when it was banned, when Crypt was banned. But the Soul Ring, Training Grounds, activated abilities of creatures you control cost 2 less to activate. That's, so we don't have to pay 2 for our commander's ability. Arc Signet, Cold Steel Heart, Sapphire Medallion, Sky Diamond, Thought Vessel, no maximum hand size again. Extraplanar Lens, which is another reason why we go with Snowlands, that on top of the fact that our commander cares about it. But land with the same name is tapped for mana. It gets double. And that way people with regular islands don't get double. They have to have snow islands just like us. Patriarch's Seal. It can add a mana of any color, but also untap a legendary creature. The Sword of Feast and Famine. Our opponent discards a card, which normally I don't like, but this deck is already, since it's bracket 4, I'm, breaking a lot of my own rules. Which is kind of what brackets 4 and 5 are, which is why I don't spend a whole lot of time in them. Solemn Simulacrum. I heard Maldhound say that by the time you're in bracket 4, you should be taking the Solemn Simulacrum out of your deck, but here I am. Urza Lord Hide Artificer, because this is where we are. This is so we can untap our artifact, or tap our artifacts for mana, so for reasons. Bluster Squall to tap all of our opponent's stuff. Pongify, Rapid Hybridization, Swang Song. Counterspell, Cyclonic Rift, Mana Drain, Reality Shift, Resculpt. What does Resculpt do? Exile target artifact or creature. Its controller gets a 4/4. I see why I normally don't put it in decks, because I don't like giving my opponents 4/4s. So it's why I don't use Angelic Ascension in my white decks. Fierce Guardianship counters a non-creature spell for free if we control our commander. I like Imprisoned on the Moon to turn off other people's commanders. Time Elemental. If Time Elemental attacks or blocks, it deals 5 damage to you and is buried at end of combat. This was a cornerstone of that deck. I forget how many of them I had, but it's an 0/2 for 3, which is garbage. But you can pay 4 to tap and return target permanent with no enchantments on it to its owner's hand. That's the important part. As long as that permanent is not enchanted. Aetherize, Cone of Cold, more tapping down, Aether Spouts, Hullbreaker Horror to bounce stuff. Stasis. This is the card. I used to use Time Elemental to return Stasis to my hand and lock my opponent out of the game. I did not play that deck very often, and I stopped playing it entirely when my best friend in the whole world got incredibly upset. Like, stand up, walk away from the table, just visibly angry. I'm not sure if I retired the deck entirely, but I certainly didn't play it against him anymore. Winter Orb, as long as it's untapped, players can't untap more than one land during their untap steps. Arcane Laboratory, each player can't play more than one spell each turn. Back to Basics, non-basic lands don't untap during their controller's untap step. I know I have a lot of them, but actually no, I have 7. But, you know. Fate Spinner, at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, that player chooses draw step, main phase, or combat phase. The player skips each instance of the chosen step or phase this turn. Static Orb, as long as Static Orb is untapped, players can't untap more than 2 permanents, period, during their untap step. Frozen Aether. Artifacts, creatures, and lands your opponent's control come into play tapped. I think, well, this is on the list, but this is a planar chaos card, I think. That was after I stopped. Eon Hub, players skip their untap steps entirely. God Pharaoh's Statue, spells your opponent's cast costume or cast at the beginning of your end step, each opponent loses a life. Archmage's Ascension, at the beginning of each step, if you drew 2 or more cards this turn, you may put a quest counter on Archmage Ascension. As long as Archmage Ascension has 6 or more quest counters on it, if you would draw a card, you may instead search your library for a card, put into your hand, and shuffle your library. How many ways did we see me drawing cards, by the way, up to now? This untaps an artifact or creature. I can't even read that. That doesn't help. Affetto Alchemist. Clever Conjurer. It also untaps permanents. 1000-Year Elixir. You may activate abilities of creatures you control so they add haste, and then you can also untap a creature with it. Unstoppable Plan. At the beginning of your end step, untap all non-land permanents you control. Vizier of Tumbling Sands. Untap another permanent. Fate Stitcher. May tap or untap another permanent. Unwinding Clock. Untap all artifacts you control during each other player's untap step. Fairly certain there are non-bows with some of my artifacts with this, but that's fine. And then we go back to Heidar. How many cards am I even drawing? Well, I guess with the I have to have the One Ring out. I thought I had a Maper board. But it's also at the end of each end step, so if people are being irresponsible with Ristic Study, that'll speed that up. And let's go, why is it optimized? Because I could probably... We have 7 Game Changer cards, 4 Mass Land Denial cards, 2 Non-Land Tutors, and 2 Infinite Combo pieces. So we have infinite colorless mana with Hullbreaker Horror and the Soul Ring. Same with Mana Vault. Oh, Teferi's Puzzle Box. And Narset, that's evil. Oh, right. Because it copies it, so it can untap another artifact or creature and untap itself. We just have to have a way to... Oh, wait, no, yeah, this one does it for free. And then we have Mindslaver Academy Ruins, yeah, of course. Then Illusionist Razors, Vizier Tumbling Sands, and Clever Conjurer. Yep. This isn't a combo. This is just two cards that do the same thing. Oh, Aeon Hub skips upkeep. I misread that. That's funny. Players skip their own tap steps. Players skip their upkeep steps. Yeah. We just have to bounce stasis to our hand so we can get our untap steps. This is the classic. Yep. Okay, yeah. Well, with the exception of misreading one particular card, like, this is definitely more of a 1v1 than it probably won't actually work against 3 other people at the same time. But I am gonna click this, optimize printings, show optimize printings, overwrite 26 cards, unselect. We'll go to this one. This is a more recent commander, also completely built. It's Taigam, Master Opportunist. 1 in a blue for a 2/2 human monk. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, copy it. Then exile the spell you cast with 4 time counters on it. If it doesn't have suspend, it gains suspend. So, yeah, that's why it's called Now and Later, because you get a copy of it now and then you get the real thing later. So let's see, what do? We got Errant Street Artist, Flash, Defender, Haste. Then you can pay 1 in a blue to copy target spell you control that wasn't cast, and a copy spell wasn't cast, because if we go back here, it just says copy it. So then, Errant copies the copies. Isochron Scepter. I'm surprised that isn't a game changer. When Isochron Scepter enters the battlefield, you may exile an instant or sorcerer. Oh, it's because it's mana value 2 or less from your hand. And then you can copy. That's why it's not a game changer, because it's this. You only get something small. You may copy the exiled card. If you do, cast a copy without paying its mana cost. See, and this specifically says cast, so that counts as a spell. Though you can't exile the copy with Taigam, so you'd want to use the Isochron Scepter first and then cast another spell from your hand. Taking a drink of water. So what do we got next? We got the Twinning Staff. If you would copy a spell one or more times, instead copy it that many times plus an additional time. Okay, so this is some ridiculous stuff we're doing. We haven't even gotten to the stuff that we're copying. We're just like, copy, 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 copy. You may choose new targets for the copy. Then pay 7 and tap. Target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. And because of its static ability up here, you do get 2 copies for 7. Irenicus's Vile Duplication. Create a token that's a copy of target creature control, except it's flying and isn't legendary if the original creature was legendary. Spark Double does the same thing, but instead of flying, it gets +1/+1 counter, but it is or an additional loyalty counter if it was a planeswalker and isn't legendary. Wandering Archaic. Whenever an opponent casts an instant or sorcery spell, they may pay 2. If they don't, you may copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. And that's not casting. So Taigam wouldn't trigger off of it, or doesn't even count it in the first place. Storm of Saruman. 4 blue. With Ward 3. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, copy it, except the copy isn't legendary. You may choose 2 new cards for the copy, and copying permanents becomes tokens. Boy, that's a lot of mana in a mono blue deck. Tomb of Horrors Adventurer. When Tomb of Horrors Adventurer enters the battlefield, you take the initiative, everybody's favorite mechanic. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, copy it. If you've completed a dungeon, you copy it twice instead. Again, very expensive for that. And then we have Ancestral Vision. So normally we just put it into, I think we just put it into suspend and hope for the best later. I don't think we have a way to cascade into this or anything. We'll see. So target player draws 3 cards. Brainstorm, draw 3 and then put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. Jace Reawakened. You cannot cast this spell during your first, second, or third turns because he is off doing something else. And then for +1, you draw a card and then discard a card. Or +1, you may exile a non-land card with mana value 3 or less from your hand. If you do, it becomes plotted. Becoming plotted means on a future turn you can cast it without paying its mana cost. And plot is also face up, so everyone knows what you're going to do. And then -6 until end of turn. Whenever you cast a spell, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. Ledger Shredder. Whenever a player casts their second spell, Ledger Shredder Knives, you draw a card, then discard a card, and if you discarded a non-land card, this way, you put a +1/+1 counter on him. Fiddlethip, Lost on the Range, has Ward 2, which means spells that target it are countered unless you pay an additional 2. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. The top card of your library has Plot. The plot cost is equal to its mana cost. You may plot non-land cards from the top of your library. I think that that final line of text is just a clarification on the previous line. It's like you can't plot lands, my dude, just to get them out of the way. Draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards and tap up to 3 lands. So it's free. Paradox Haze. At the beginning of an enchanted player's turn, or at the beginning of an enchanted player's first upkeep, each turn that player gets an additional upkeep. Okay, I'm not entirely sure yet why we want 2 upkeeps, but we will see. Whenever you cast your first spell during each opponent's turn, draw a card. Okay. That's just to encourage us to play at instant speed and to get extra cards. We probably have a lot of stuff with flash in here. Archmage Emeritus. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, draw a card. That or copy part is good. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, draw. So it doesn't have the copy, but it does make them cheaper. Shadow of the Second Sun. At the beginning of enchanted player's post-combat main phase, there's an additional beginning phase. And then the end step happens after the added upkeep, untap, upkeep, and draw steps. Yeah, so you get to untap all of your stuff. You have to do your upkeeps. This one doesn't get the additional. Yeah, this is why this says first upkeep, because stuff like this gives you additional upkeeps. And then Sphinx of the Second Sun does the same thing as this, but is a 6/6 creature and costs 2 more. Or 6/6 creature with flying. And then we have our... we have only 20 islands? Hold on. Oh, we have 20 islands of... Okay. We have 20 islands of this art and 10 islands of this more expensive art. Then we have a Lotus Field where we have to sacrifice 2 lands. I'll probably end up taking that out and putting something else in, but I don't know what else. Let's go up here real quick. Let's go to land base. No. I don't think I have. What kind of, yeah, I don't think we need the Academy Ruin. I don't think we need the Seed of the Snood. War Room. Inventor's Fair, Rogue's Passes, So other people who made this deck put a lot more artifacts in their deck than I did, I guess. Like, they're even using this Ulthros Titanic God Core. Cavern of Souls. I guess that is to make sure that your commander doesn't get countered. Human monk. We'll have to see how many human monks we have. Because we could do Path of Ancestry. Or how many humans and or monks. So we go here. Clock spinning. Buy back 3. Choose a counter on target permanent or suspend card. remove a counter or add an additional. So, you know, for 1 mana, we can remove 1 time counter. For 4 mana, we can remove 1 time counter and get this card back in our hand. Time Beetle. Whenever Time Beetle deals combat damage to a player, time travel. And time travel says for each suspend card you own and each permanent you control with a time counter on it, you may add or remove a time counter. So this is like proliferate for time counters, but also anti-proliferate for time counters if that's the direction you wanted to go in. Wibbly wobbly timey-wimey. Time travel, draw a card. All of history all at once, time travel, and storm. So when you cast a spell, copy it for each spell cast before it this turn. Lightning Greaves to protect our commander. Swiftfoot Boots to protect our commander. Mithril Coat to protect our commander. Propaganda to protect us. High Fake Trickster. You may cast spells as though they had flash. You may cast spells as though they had flash and put this card into play for free if it's in your opening hand. And cast spells as though they had flash because I feel that's important. Soul Talisman. That's Future Soul Ring. It's Soul Ring 3 turns from now. High Tide. Until end of turn, whenever a player taps an island for mana, they get an additional blue. Not that we're like... you might have noticed we're not really storming off. We're still probably playing Fair Magic. Although, again, I think we just got through like the draw. Like, we're still in the vegetables. Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Sapphire Medallion again, Sky Diamond again. Thunderclap Drake. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. And then you can also pay 2 and a blue to and sacrifice it to copy your next instant and sorcery for the number of times you cast your commander. As foretold, at the beginning of your upkeep, well, there's a reason to have additional upkeeps. Put a time counter on as foretold. Once each turn, not just yours, each turn you may pay 0 rather than pay the mana cost for a spell you cast with mana value X or less, where X is the number of time counters on as foretold. Haughty Djinn, instant sorceries cost 1 less to cast, and also its power is equal to the number of instant and sorceries in your graveyard, and it has flying. I remember losing to this jerk on Arena a lot. High Spire Bellringer. The second spell you cast each turn costs 1 less to cast. Oh, there's a new card I actually want to put in here. I don't know if... or a newer card that came out since I first put this deck together. Rotating Fireplace. It enters the battlefield tapped with a time counter on it. Okay. Add an amount of... colorless mana equal to the number of time counters on it. And then you can pay 4 in time travel. Activate only as a sorcery. And then we have good old Solemn Simulacrum. And we have Bounce Off to return a creature or vehicle to hand. Chain of Vapor. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Then that permanent's controller may sacrifice land. If they do, they copy this spell and they can choose new targets for the copy. Fading Hope. Return creature to its owner's hand. Mana value 30 less. You get to scry. Into the Floodmaw. You can return stuff to your opponent's hand. You get more options if it was a fish. Pongify, Rapid Hybridization, Stern Dismissal, returns creatures or enchantments. String of Disappearances, return target creature to its owner's hand, then that creature's controller may play double blue. If the player does, they may copy the spell and they may choose new target for the copy. Unsummon, returns creature to the hand. Vapor Snag, returns creature to his hand. Controller loses life. Narset's Reversal, copy target instant sorcery spell, then return it to its owner's hand. Choose new cards for the copy. See, I'm not counterspelling you. I'm just making you waste your mana. Reality Shift. They get a fish in exchange for a creature that goes away forever. Aetherize. Aether Spouts. Spectral Deluge. Return each creature your opponent controls with toughness X or less to its owner's hand, where X is the number of islands you control. And then it has Foretell. I'm surprised. This probably should make it into more of my mono blue decks. Wingblade Disciple. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, create a 1/1 flying white bird with flying. Murmuring Mystic. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a blue bird illusion with flying. Taldaran the Sky Summoner. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, you get a 2/2 blue drake with flying. Saruman the White. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, amass orcs 2. Which means you make a zeros. If you have no armies, you make a 2/2. You make a 0/0 orc army and put 2+1/+1 counters on it. If you already have an army, you just put 2+1/+1 counters, and if it wasn't an orc yet, it becomes an orc. And he also has ward 2. So we have that. So we're going to go to the top. So we go second spell. So it's basically this thing right here. The one that we made a partner deck with when we did a Final Fantasy week. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, draw a card. There's also like other good ones like the Razzle Dazzler that's unblockable. But obviously that's not as new as this deck is, and it didn't make it in. So I do want this second spell draw card. And let's see. Well, you go into the draw section. The healthiest draw section I've ever had. Wandering Archaic, maybe. I honestly could dump all 3 of those protection spells, the Mithril Coat, the Swiftfoot Boots, and the Lightning Greaves. But I don't know what I would put in the deck instead. Actually, I'd probably just put more second spell stuff. Yeah, let's live dangerously and not protect our commander. I like how second guess counters specifically the second spell cast each turn. That reminds me of the Raw Deal card game, that it had a counter that was specifically for not the first thing done that turn. But yeah, can't be blocked this turn. Oh, here's another one. Second spell you cast each turn costs 2 less to cast. Hold on. Ugh. I scooted myself and moved my cushions. There we go. Yeehaw. That is a yee to the ha. The Dreamtide Whale is funny with its vanishing 2. And then whenever a player casts their second spell each turn, proliferate. I do like this as a do you want to cast more than one spell a turn, you jerks? Also, like, just fat removal bait. It doesn't have any form of evasion, though. Though it is proliferate, and I don't know. The only thing we'd want to put more time counters on is you go into ramp. This technically should go into evasion, but that doesn't have a section, so I don't feel like making it myself. Where Where was I? Oh, yeah, the only thing is as foretold. Oh, wait, no, as foretold and rotating fireplace. We have two things we would want to proliferate positively. So we have... Oh, no, that put us back at his 100. What are... Oh, it was Razzle Dazzle. This guy. And the ramp piece. There we go. Okay. Yeah. No, we're at 100 now. I like it. Let's optimize our printings. Show the optimized printings. And then tell it not to change these to the Spider-Man printings, but everything else is fine. Now, where did I put my katanas? This deck is amusing. I wanted to make, like, Turtle Tribal, but that's not really doable in blue. Now I gotta look up something. The Kappa Cannoneer is a turtle. This is 100% Donatello. Shell of the Last Kappa is also very interesting. It costs 3 to come into play, and then if you're ever just sitting on 3 mana, you can remove a spell from an instant or sorcery that targets you specifically from the game, and it doesn't do anything because you're removing it from the stack. But then you can also cast one of them cards without paying its mana cost by sacrificing this. I don't know if there's any reason to... Well, Kappa Cannoneer doesn't... Actually, no, there is a reason to put it in this deck, I just realized. Because it just says, comes into play, right? Whenever this creature or another artifact you control enters... Yeah. Okay, so let's meet our commander and see if there's anything we want to remove for Kappa Cannoneer. So we have Leonardo da Vinci. 2 and a blue for a 3/3 human artificer. You can pay 3 and 2 blue until end of turn. Thopters you control have base power and toughness X, where X is the number of cards in your hand, which is very likely to boost the power of your Thopters unless you have no cards in hand. Then you can pay 2 and a blue and tap, draw a card, then discard a card. If the discarded card was an artifact card, exile it from your graveyard. If you do, create a token that's a copy of it, except it's an O2 Thopter artifact creature token with flying in addition to its other types. So the thing is that you discard artifacts and sheet them into play, and then hope no one board wipes. Because we're playing mono blue, and I don't play counter spells. Chief Engineer, artifact spells you control have Convoke, so you can tap your creatures to pay for its mana cost. Either one generic or one of the creature's colors. Drafna, Founder of Latnam. Return target artifact you control to its owner's hand. Copy target artifact spell you control. It becomes a token. Ethereum Sculptor to make artifacts cheaper. Riddlesmith, whenever you cast an artifact spell, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. Forensic Gadgeteer, whenever you cast an artifact spell, investigate. That's a clue token that you can pay to sacrifice and draw a card. But activated abilities of artifacts you control cost 1 less to activate. Doesn't reduce it to less than 1. Foundry Inspector, artifacts cost 1 less to cast. Grand Architect, other blue creatures you control get +1/+1. Target artifact creature becomes blue until end of turn if it wasn't already. Tap an untapped blue creature you control to add 2 generic mana to your mana pool, or colorless, probably. Spend this mana only to cast artifact spells or activate abilities of artifacts. Mirrodin Besiege. We choose Mirren over Phyrexian. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you get a colorless mirror artifact creature token. Shimmer Mirror, you can cast artifact spells with flash. Videlkin Archmage, you can whenever you cast an artifact spell, draw a card. A Library of Lang. You must skip the discard phase of your turn. If a card forces you to discard, you may choose to discard to the top of your library rather than to graveyard. If discard is random, you may look at the card before deciding where to discard it. So in case we discard something with our commander, but we don't want to like exile it, we can just put it on top of our deck to draw later. Wizard class, no maximum hand size, and some other things that may or may not ever happen. Endless Atlas. Did we miss that in 2 decks to draw a card only if we control 3 or more lands with the same name? You have no maximum hand size, but if you also get max speed, whenever you draw a card, you get 2 cards instead. Athros Researchcraft. This is a very recent addition, as you can imagine. Whenever you cast once this thing gets up to 3 station, whenever you cast an artifact spell, you draw a card and put a charge counter on this spacecraft. And remember, station is that you can tap another creature as a sorcery to put charge counters equal to its power onto it. And then if it has 12 or more, it's a flying 0/8 with +1/+0 for each artifact you control. Curiosity Crafter, no maximum hand size. Whenever a creature token you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. 20-toed Toad. Your maximum hand size is 20. Whenever you attack with 2 or more creatures, put a +1/+1 counter on 20-toed Toad and draw a card. Whenever 20-toed Toad attacks, you win the game if there are 20 or more counters on it, or you have 20 or more cards in hand. Body of Knowledge, its power and toughness equal to the number of cards in your hand. You have no maximum hand size. And whenever it's dealt damage, you draw that many cards. Ancient Silver Dragon, it's a flying 8/8 for 8, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you roll a d20, draw that many cards, and you have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. Marvin Murderous Mimic has all activated abilities of creatures you control that don't have the same name as this creature, aka Marvin Murderous Mimic. Emery, Lurker of the Loch, costs 1 less for each artifact you control, and when Emery enters, you mill 4 cards, which normally I don't like doing, but tap, choose artifact card in your graveyard, you may cast that card this turn. Now we're on to our lands. Oh, Guildless Commons could go in the other deck. There we go. Guildless Commons into the battlefield tap. When it enters, you return a land to your control to your hand, and then it taps for 2 colorless. Inventor's Fair, that's Artifact Tutor. Then we have 5 of that island, 5 of this island, and 20 of this island. Honestly, we can go down to 0 of that island. Because that was, like, this is the same price. We'll go 10 of this and 20 of that. Make sure that's stuck, yep. Nykthos, Reliquary Tower, Seat of the Synod, because we do care about artifacts. Terrain Generator, 3-Tree City, because we're going to have a lot of Thopters. Lightning Greaves, Swiftfoot Boots, Mithril Coat, because we actually do want to protect our commander, not live dangerously. Sol Ring, Arcane Signet, Dowsing Dagger, because our creatures have flying. Felwar Stone, Mind Stone, Sapphire Medallion, Sky Diamond, Sword of the Animist to dig those lands out of our deck, our basics. The Iron Crag, Thought Vessel, Bitter Thorn, this is Animus to also get our basic lands out of our deck. Bounce Off, Chain of Vapor, Fading Hope, Into the Flood Maw, Pongify, Rapid Hybridization, Stern Dismissal, String of Disappearances, Unsummon, Vapor Snag, Reality Shift, Aetherize, Aether Spouts, Raise the Palisade, which hits our commander, and a bunch of other things, but that's fine. Bluster Squall, Deluge, taps all creatures without flying. Our main attackers fly. So this is kind of silly, but it's an instant, so yeah. Cone of Cold, Hangerback Walker, Ornithopter, Ornithopter of Paradise, Liberator, Urza's Battlethopter, Psy Master Thopterist, Stride Hanger Automaton, Thopter Fabricator, Efficient Construction, Thopter Spy Network, Sharding Sphinx. And then I think we're in the maybe board now. Artificer class makes the first artifact cheaper. Second one has a lot of words on it. And the final one copies a thing. Cargo ship. I thought about it for a second because it's a vehicle with crew 1, so we can't even throw most of our Thopters into it, but I had it in the deck, and then I remembered I didn't have Sapphire Medallion in the deck. And then I took out Mechanized Production because I wanted to see if I could win without it. And then Tezzeret can make Thopters, and that's all that I cared about it. Thopter Squadron can also give me Thopters. Was there anything? I'm at least going to put it in the maybe board. Because, like, obviously, it's cool and probably better than a lot of the other stuff in this deck. But I kind of like where it is as this goofy deck. But now I'm going to go back to Now and Later. And look at that. I do not have... That's so wild. Huh. What would I take out for it? Honestly, the Razzle Dazzler, since it's kind of the only thing of its kind. Although I'm also still thinking about the Wandering Archaic. Brainstorm is tempting, but I kind of have this thing where I want to cast a lot of instants and sorceries. And then let's go back one more to Nobody Move. Yep, so you know what we're going to do? We're going to take out Solemn Simulacrum. And put in Endless Atlas. Although this thing's like clue token level, so it's probably still not that good. And you can tell me that taking out Solemn was a bad idea, but I also just realized that in this Idol of Oblivion is actually another really good card. Because we can draw a card if we created a token. I'll put that over here on the maybe board. I'm going to get rid of Cargo Ship because I don't think I need it anymore. Throw down that. But the rest of that is fine for a maybe board. And so you did not have a maybe board, right? No. Okay. So now we go back here again. Go here. Optimize printings. Show optimized printings. Overwrite 26 cards. Okay, and we still have 30 cards for this deck. It is a bracket 3 because our commander is a game changer. So we're going to get through what's in the deck. Hiya. And then we'll look into adding to it. So we have good old Urza, Lord High Artificer, the game-changing commander that nobody likes. And notice that the name of this deck is Urza just wants to play with his toys. So I plan on this being a bad bracket 3 deck, but I still have game changers in it just because I like leaning into that. So, Urza, Lord Eye Artificer is 2 and 2 blue for a 1/4 human artificer. When Urza, Lord High Artificer, enters the battlefield, create a 0/0 colorless construct creature or artifact creature token with this creature's gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. You can also tap an untapped artifact you control to add blue mana. That's an Urza ability, not the artifact's ability. That's very important. Then you can also pay 5 to shuffle your library, then exile the top card. Until end of turn, you may play that card without paying its mana cost. Drafna, founder of Latinam, I bet he hates being in this deck. Because if I'm remembering the lore correctly, Latinam was founded because they could not stand Urza. And if I'm right on the timeline, they didn't like Mishra either. Return artifact control to your hand, and then you can copy an artifact spell you control to get another one. Mechanized Production to win the game. Endless Atlas to draw a card. Forensic Gadgeteer to get a clue when you cast artifacts, and also make artifact abilities 1 cheaper to activate. Good old Heuristic Study, that's our second game changer. Because if he's going to be jerks, we're just going to be jerks. Looking Archmage to draw a card when we cast an artifact spell. Academy Ruins to reclaim artifacts. The Brothers War Islands that are super cool looking. Urza's Cave, Urza's Factory, Urza's Mine, Urza's Power Plant, Urza's Saga. We'll see how many hits we have for that for the third step, besides Sol Ring. Urza's Tower, Urza's Workshop. Was that all of them? Yep. Lightning Greaves, Hit with Boots. Liberator, Urza's Battlethopter. Of course, he would want to be in here. Mithril Coat. Propaganda. The propaganda in question is that Urza isn't evil, even though we all know that he was not a good person. Shimmermere. Expedition Map. I'm not entirely certain what land we're searching for. Oh, but I can already think of cards that I want to put in this deck. Because when I first set this up, it was before Edge of Eternities came out. Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Ethereum Sculptor, Mind Stone, Sapphire Medallion, Thought Vessel, Foundry Inspector, Pongify, Rapid Hybridization, Counterspell, because we're in bracket 3. Even though I know that's not like a requirement for other people to counterspell, but for me, that's what it is. If I'm doing my silly bracket 2 nonsense, I don't use counterspells. Cyclonic Rift, that's our third game changer, but I'm probably going to look up game changers just to see if I want to change out what my game changers are. Mana Drain, Reality Shift, Aetherize, Aether Spouts, Mirrored and Besieged again. We're getting the mirrors. Although we could also choose Phyrexian because this is Urza and he did almost surrender because he thought Phyrexia was cool too. What a dork. Psy Master Thopterist. Efficient Construction. Whenever we cast an artifact spell, we get a Thopter. Fomori Vault. Oh, right. Pay 3, tap, discard a card. Look at the top X cards of your library where X is the number of artifacts you control. Put one of those cards in your hand and the rest of the bottom of your library in random order. Inventor's Fair. Terrain Generator. Artificer class is actually in... Is it actually in the deck? Oh no, we are in the maybe board. We have a... Wow, we have a thick maybe board. So Terrain Generator, Artificer class, Chief Engineer gives our artifacts Convoke. Cold Steel Heart is another piece of ramp. The thing is that as long as we can protect our commander, we don't need that much ramp. And also the Cold Steel Heart comes into play tapped. That can see why they didn't want to use it. Even though we have... Oh, we don't even use the Sky Diamond either. But it's over here. Oh, Liquid Metal Torque just turns something into an artifact. Fractured Power Stone, just in case we want to... That's definitely kind of a sideboard card, but because Commander doesn't actually have sideboards, I put it over here in the maybe board. Felbar Stone for another piece of ramp. What? I guess the Expedition map is there just to grab an Urza land. So I kind of think I know what other cards I want to put in here. Spyrite and Statuary non-artifact spells have Improvise, which means you can tap artifacts to pay 1 generic. And then we have all the different kinds of mages that tutor for different mana values of artifacts. And then Karn Legacy Reforged, it gives us mana equal to the number of artifacts we control. And his power and toughness is equal to the greatest mana value. So the point of this deck is that Urza just wants to play with his toys. So I got to make sure not to like do anything too mean. But we are going to go is Game Changer, because that's a thing you can do. Look at that. Oh, I thought that said Evaporate, and I'm like, what does Evaporate do? Misha's Workshop is the tempting one. doesn't tell us the printing. I'm going to close this. Well, I guess out of all of them, I guess, yeah, I'll just do... Cyclonic Rift is within my wheelhouse of bouncing all of everybody's stuff. Of everything over here... Oh, wait, no, there's other stuff I wanted to look at. Other things that care about artifact spells. Memnon, the right hand. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast artifact spells from the top of your library. Oh, and then we're also going to Mystic Forge. And then artifacts you control have tap, add blue, and this is an effect of the artifact. So if the artifact's a creature, it can't do it if it has summoning sickness. And then spend this mana only to cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand. Oh, and then, of course, the Research Craft. The thing is that we have 38 lands because that's how many Urza lands there are. We could put in more lands, but I don't want to take out any more basics. Otherwise, I would probably put in the Fomori Vault, Thespian Stage, and Vesuva. Vesuvian? Yeah, I guess it is. I guess that is in fact the, let's see. Oh. This creature counts as draw. This creature also counts as draw. We're also going to go with the reality chip. And the thing is that if we stick Urza, I don't think we really need Karn. An art attack do. I don't know why I'm typing this here, but that's a deep dwelling to blink Urza. Conjurer's Closet to blink Urza. That way he can bring in more of his personal toys. So, like, it's probably impossible to make a bad Urza deck, but I just want to try to make a more fair one. I say that, but I still kind of want to put the Colossi in here. just because you can cheat him out with Lord High Artificer, and that's kind of like the high end. Those are his coolest toys, and I'm probably going to make them Optimus Prime and Megatron after I do the extras thing. How many creatures do we have, by the way? 13? We definitely do want to... That's definitely the toys we want to get into the deck, getting more the creatures. Huh. Tap an untapped wizard you control. Return target online permanent you don't control to its owner's hand. Our commander is not a wizard, though. As much as you might think he's a wizard, he is not a wizard. By the way, I gotta move those two because it's... I know it has infect, but considering how much infect it has, that is a finisher. Just changing how I'm sitting again. Actually, let's see how many of these mages have hits. So Trophy Mage is mana value 3. I see 1, 2, 3 hits right there. A 4th hit. I see 4 hits for it. Trinket Mage is 1 or less. We have oh, we have Seed of the Synod, right? Nope, that's not in this one. So we only have 1 hit. Nope, we have 2 hits. We have the Sol Ring and Exped map, and that also reminds me of another card that we can put in here. World map. You can either grab a basic or a specific land for slightly more expensive than the Expedition map, because the world map is just a world map. The Expedition map has like other info on it, I guess. So, and that only puts it into your hand too. Expedition map. Oh, also puts it into your hand. That is also not ramp. That is actually card... Well, no, it's not even card draw because it's replacing itself. Oh, let's just put the Capican in here in this one and not pretend. But that gives us 3 hits between it and the Urza's saga. But the Tribute Mage is converted mana cost 2, which is all over the place in this deck. So let's auto. The Treasure Mage is 6 or greater, but I don't know why we'd want to why we want to grab, but that would grab any of our finishers, and when our commander would just grab them anyway. And then Transit Mage is 4 or 5, which is admittedly a couple of things. So honestly, the best one in my opinion is the Tribute Mage, because it's basically it. I mean, it only really grabs ramp pieces and a couple of protection pieces. But well, I think I want to throw in Trophy Mage. And then, actually, we're going to go here for more protection pieces for Urza. So it's T, Equip, O, Hexy P, or O, Indist. There's an I in that. Or O, Shroud. So the Champion Helm, the Darksteel Plate, the Hammer of Nazahan, sure, Calder Complete, that's one of his toys. I like putting Shadow Spears in my decks, the Mirror Shield, and the Whisper Silk Cloak. Now we're at 89. So T, Art, O, Destroy, because I just remembered other things I wanted to put in here. The Argentum Armor, the Cityscape Leveler, the Extinguisher Battleship, Meteor Golem, Spine of Ishsa, Ultima Weapon, those are more of his toys, my dudes. So put these down in removal where they belong. I'm just going to leave this under artifact because, like, I have no idea what I want to do with it. Although I guess they're tutors. They are land tutors. What did that do for my... Oh, that did give me another 1 hit. So let's auto that. You know what? Let's put in all of these mages, because I think I have hits at every number level. Did that put us at a... Nope. It's probably going to tell us maybe you're a 4 because you have all these stupid tutors. It's like, no, we're searching for dumb stuff. That's the thing I feel these auto bracket things don't account for. It's like, well, what are they tutoring for? Are you tutoring for good things or dumb things? So what are we at? We're at 98. We have 21 creatures, which I always like to have at least 20. Even 25 is better, obviously. I think I do. I want the cold. I do want the cold steel heart. And although I guess Karn Legacy Reforged. Wait, it's at the beginning of your upkeep, add colorless for each artifact control. This mana can't be spent to cast non-artifact spells. Okay, so it's still, which means that it can still be used to power Urza. There. So now we're at 100 with this deck. Extras. Optimize our printings. Show optimized printings. The only things that we're not optimizing are these two. Because even if our Urza gets changed, which I'm scrolling down to see if he does. Okay, he gets changed from that to this. I was wondering if it was going to change it to the Terra from Final Fantasy VI skin. Yeah, so that's our... Could be worse. Like, you have to actively sabotage yourself to make it worse than that. But this is our basic boy, because we're not going to use any harsh cuss words if we can avoid it. Partially because of YouTube, partially just a thing. I wouldn't say I have Tourette's, but man, do I have a cursing problem. And at least when I do these videos, I want to at least try to not curse. Yeah, I like how we did. We have the 3 cards of yes, of course I'm trying to win the game, Steve. And then the rest of it is just, you know, like just standard issue garbage. Oh, and then 5 tutors. Because I like them all. I like how it's 6+ for one of them. They're like, we're not having any more of these. So it's 1 or less, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6+. And we still have a good more deal of time than I thought we'd have. I also didn't check before I said what I said before. That I didn't know I'd already built those decks almost completely. So we have 70 cards here and 2. Okay, so we're going to be completely building that one. So this is called Generic Black Deck. I gotta change my notes. Really quick. Go. So our commander is Ayara, first of Locthwain. She's triple black for a 2/3. Whenever Ayara, first of Locthwain, or another black creature enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain a life. And then you can sacrifice another black creature to draw a card. Very, very basic black mana stuff. Then we have Gray Merchant of Asphodel. When this creature enters, each opponent loses X life and you gain X life. Oh wait, no. Each opponent loses X life, where X is your devotion to black, and then you gain life equal to the life lost this way. This is super basic black stuff that, like, if you wanted to challenge yourself, you wouldn't put it in. Then we have the Endless Atlas because we're playing mono. Black Market Connection, so we can get treasures, draw cards, or get a... it is a colorless creature, so we're less likely to pay 3 life for a creature that doesn't help us. But drawing a card for 2 life and no extra mana investment is good. And a treasure token for 1 life is perfectly acceptable. Morbid Opportunist, whenever one or more other creatures die, draw a card only once a turn. Phyrexian Arena, beginning of your upkeep, draw a card, lose life. Underworld Connections, you turn a land into an at-will Phyrexian Arena. Bajukabog, to mess with someone's discard pile. Reliquary Tower, just in case we ever get our hand size up that much. 30 basic swamps. Terrain Generator, just in case we draw extra lands. Cabal Coffers, to add black mana equal to each swamp we control. Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx. Adds mana equal to our devotion. Sacrifice a creature to add double black. Put target creature card from your graveyard on top of your library. Oh yeah, I forgot. This is not quite a cycle, because I don't think... Because there's the one for enchantments didn't come out until Theros, because that's Heliod's, like, Happy Hall or whatever it's called. But there's the black one for creatures. Sorry, I'm just trying to move my table. The blue one for artifacts. But I don't think the green or red have one. And I'm not sure what they do at this point. Then our Soul Ring, our Arcane Signet, our Charcoal Diamond, our Jet Medallion, our Mind Stone, Sword of the Animist, Thought Vessel, Bitterthorn. But we also have Cryptghast that has the Extort ability, so whenever we cast a spell we can pay 1. If we do, each opponent loses a life and we gain a life. Oh no, we gain that much life, jeez. And then whenever we tap a swamp for mana, we get an additional mana. Pitiless Plunderer. Whenever another creature you control dies, you get a treasure. Solemn, of course. Magus of the Coffers. It's basically Cabal Coffers, but a creature. Whenever you tap a swap for mana, you get an additional black, but then you also get a place to spend that mana. Sheoldred, to get creatures from graveyards back onto the battlefield. It also makes our opponents sacrifice creatures. Virtual Persistence, to get creatures back from graveyards into the battlefield under our control. And also, not the most efficient version of this spell, but it trades... There's a card called Grasp at Darkness that does -4/-4 for double black. So this changes one of the black into a colorless, makes it -3/-3, but also gives you 2 life. I prefer, in general, Grasp at Darkness, even though you haven't seen me put in a deck in quite a while. Just because we've gotten better with removal. Which reminds me of... Okay, yeah, I need to remember to put some cards in this deck. Because that came out after I first initialized this deck. But it being stapled to this effect is fine. Cast Down, to get rid of a non-legendary creature. Go for the Throat, non-artifact creatures. Destroys creatures with no counters on them. Destroys any creature, but you lose 2 life. Okay, so... I don't... Oh, that's why it was like that. This is my land, and this is my proxy of these lands, because these are expensive. $100, $30, $60, $29. What I'm actually going to do is that I'm going to remove Bojuka Bog for Herb Tom. Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth, which also goes into the proxy these lands pile. That way, the 7 lands that are not swamps are technically swamps for the purposes of Cabal coffers. What's funny is I normally put Cabal Stronghold in as well, even though it is objectively worse than Cabal coffers. But this is how we're running now. Where was I? Oh, yeah, that's right. I was over here. We are taking out Breathe Your Last. We are taking out Hero's Downfall. We're even taking out Murderous Rider. But just to get back into it, Baleful Mastery costs 4, or it costs 2, and you let an opponent draw a card. Exile target creature or planeswalker. Now, the person whose thing you target doesn't have to be the person who you give the guard to. Just there's that. Destroy target creature. It costs 4, unless you have a devotion to black of equal 2, then it only costs 2 black. Phyrexian Obliterator costs 4 black, and then whenever a source deals damage to Phyrexian Obliterator, that source's controller sacrifices that many permanents. I really would have liked the other 3 colors to get one, because we have the Vindicator, I think it is, for white. That's really good. Let's see. Oh, whoops. No, there's one more thing. Thornbite Staff. Oh, by the way, Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth, each land is a swamp in addition to its other types, not just ours. Thornbite Staff. Equipped creature has 2 tap. This creature deals 1 damage to any target, and whenever a creature dies, untap this creature. Whenever a shaman creature enters the battlefield, you may attach Thornbite Staff to it. Our commander is an elf noble, not a shaman. There's probably... Oh, duh. Okay, so the determinable infinite combo is that we equip Thornbite Staff to our commander. We tap our commander to sacrifice a creature. Thornbite Staff untaps our creature. So we can do that to draw as many cards as we want. Now, the thing is, you've noticed that this deck is pretty empty right now. So we still need to put creatures in here, and also more removal spells. T instant. Actually, I think I know all of the ones that I want to put in, but yeah, I'm just gonna type in the ones that I want, because I usually avoid Deadly Rollick, even though I shouldn't. There's the Arch Enemy's Charm, that's relatively new. And then Overkill. Get out of my way. There we go. We now have 10 pieces of removal, no pieces of mass disruption. Mostly because I'm not entirely good at that. Black's mass disruption gets rid of our stuff too, and I'm not a fan of that. I mean, depending on how much of our stuff I don't mind going away, I could put in something like Crippling Fear and say Elf or Noble and not care if anything else goes away. But let's put in our protection pieces. What are we at? Wow, we're still at 70. Oh, that's right. I like removed a couple of things and then added a couple things. Okay, so T equip O hexip or O indest or O shroud. I was looking at the keyboard. Did I? Shroud. There. So we go here. Here, it's basically the same things. Although we're hold on. A germ token okay, it don't say it here. Does one of the printings tell us what well, we're going to type in living weapon. We also want Shadow Spear just because I just like Shadow Spear. Oh. Living weapon. Living weapons create black creatures, which black creatures are the exact kinds of creatures our commander cares about. Oh, excuse me. So Cauldron Complete gets in, but none of these other ones really get in. Though it is funny that we get germ creatures that leave behind equipment when we, because we can sack them and then it's just that the equip cost is so expensive and isn't really worth it except for on Bitterthorn and Cauldron Complete. We're also going to put some probably other silly stuff in here now that I'm just sitting here. And it's not going to be a very generic black deck, but let's go T Art O Destroy. We're going to put those cards in again. Because I feel like it. That's just what I feel like doing. Everybody has their favorite cards, and these are mine. Oh wow, Dalek Drone is actually really good. When Dalek Drone enters the battlefield, destroy target creature an opponent controls. That player loses 3 life. Huh. Extinguisher Battleship. I know these aren't black creatures, but that's fine. Okay, we don't want to make our opponents mill cards. That is outside the scope of things I care about. When a Primaris Exterminator enters the battlefield, choose 1, destroy target creature. Sure. Because I think that's another thing I want to do. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, destroy up to 1 target planeswalker and up to 1 target artifact. I'll be fine without that. We want Ultima Weapon, though. What are we at? We're at 87? There's one more silly thing I want to put in here. Buster. The Buster Sword. That's a draw card. Both of these are removal. I'm also going to throw in summon Bahamut because we can. That's ramp. Here's removal. How many creatures do we have? Oh, we do have 14 creatures at least. And we can have 11 more creatures, so we can have 25 creatures. Because there's a thing. T. Creature. We're looking for creatures that destroy other creatures when they enter the battlefield. This allows us to sacrifice a creature to destroy a creature. I actually didn't mean to press that. Because I meant to go up and type in enters. See this? It says enters, but also if you cast it. Like you don't see the Cityscape Leveler, although that does it on cast. So cast from your hand. Okay, there's another qualifier I want to put up in here just because it's starting to annoy me every time I see it. Okay, another qualifier. Minus O. If you cast. Okay, if it was kicked, so that makes it cost. That makes it cost 7. That's ridiculous. This destroys angels. Non-elves whose power and toughness are not equal. That is funny as heck. We're not using it, but that is funny. Lose life equal to its mana value. We're not doing that. This reminds me of another card I do want to put in. Let's rotate this card. Destroy all legendaries or destroy all non-legendaries. We're not doing that. Noxus Gear Hulk. Because then we can gain life equal to the toughness of the creature we destroyed. Ravenous Chupacabra destroys a creature an opponent's controls. Patron of the Vein. Mountain Iscas of zombies. I don't care how expensive these things are, it's all funny. Each opponent sacrifices a non-token creature or planeswalker. And we're not messing with this flip-around card. So Invasion of Innistrad gives something -13/-13 until end of turn, and has flash, but it costs 4. That's still fairly good. And then if we ever attack it, we get this thing that makes 2 zombies, and then we can make more zombies by exiling stuff from a graveyard, not just ours. Where does that put us at? Wow, that still puts us at 94. So our removal section is 23 cards. Did anything make... Nope, okay. There we go. So, very, very normal black deck. How many creatures are we up to, though? Because I don't think I added... We're at 18 creatures. Could have swore I had more. Was I thinking of a different deck when I said I had 21 creatures? I must have been. What do I want? You know what? We're going to put in Palace Siege. It puts it back in our hand. If we choose that one, let's go read it really quick. So Palace Siege costs... Oh, I see what happened. I have to reboot because it... my mouse click pointer, I guess, got confused or something. I don't know. This is, I think it's a weird Microsoft Edge thing. 3 and 2 black for an enchantment. You can choose Cons or Dragons. If you choose Cons, you get a creature card from your graveyard to your hand, and if you choose, and it's your graveyard only because it goes to hand. And then at Dragons, you can just make each opponent lose 2 life and you gain 2 life. So, like, you know, depending on what it is, where things are in your day. But I still want more creatures, so we are going to hit up EDH Rec to see what kind of creatures they want us, they think are good. Blood Artist, yeah, I see that. Notice I actually avoided that. We're gonna Ophiomancer to get free black snakes. Reassembling Celadons, I can see that. Sir Conrad, I see that. This is a generic black deck, so Kirksung of Yawgmoth. That was 2, right? It was something. So 3 more. Oh, Jadar, yep, because that can make make more black zombies. Massacre Worm, yeah, that's very generic. Because it also punishes our opponent's stuff for dying, not our own stuff, so it's fine, and it sweeps the board of small things. which is kind of a thing that we're missing right now. Oh, Shielded the Apocalypse because we're drawing cards sometimes. I can see that. How many do we need? Because I just... No, one more? There's actually a different thing that I don't think is going to show up here. There's Yawgmoth, who has protection from humans, which is just always hilarious. And then pay 1 life, sacrifice another creature, put a -1/-1 counter on up to 1 target creature and draw a card. And then discard a card, pay 2 black, proliferate. We could put in Shieldred, but there's actually someone else I want to put in. Let's see. Massacre Girl, known killer. Menace, creatures you control have Wither. They deal damage to creatures in the form of -1/-1 counters. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, if its toughness was less than 1, draw a card. She deserves her own deck. I don't know how well that deck... I don't know if I bothered with that deck. You'd have to go back and check the Mono Black episode. But, no, I really like her. Like, there's other stuff I could have put in this deck, but I liked that direction I went where I put a bunch of expensive stuff that just destroyed creatures. That amused me, personally. And then Kyric's Son of Yawgmoth is... like, there's so many more things we could have put in this deck, and... like, I could take out these two and put in some other things. But for now, we're not going to worry about it. We're just going to do this, do this, do this. And there's only one thing I don't want to change. And that was what I chose for my swamps. And so for our last one, which is probably going to take the most time, and we're already at 2 hours, but I don't want to split up the colors, is You Fools, which is a partner deck featuring Tevesh, Szat, Doom of Fools, and Sengir the Dark Baron. Let's say what they do, and then let's get to building this deck. So, Sengir the Dark Baron says, whenever another creature dies, put 2+1/+1 counters on Sengir the Dark Baron. Whenever another player loses the game, you gain life equal to that player's life total as the turn began. Tevesh, Szat, Doom of Fools does a thing that I normally don't like to do, but it's his -10, which means it might not happen. So for +2 loyalty, create 2 thralls. They're 0/1 black creature tokens that don't do anything important. Then you may sacrifice another creature or planeswalker if you do draw 2 cards. Then draw another card if the sacrifice permanent was a commander. And then for -10, gain control of all commanders. Put all commanders from the command zone into the battlefield under your control. We don't like stealing stuff, but that's funny. So let's just grab all of our stuff. Swamp. Soul Ring, Solemn Simulacrum, Cabal. We want Cabal Coffers, and this time I think we're going to do Cabal Stronghold. I don't know how long it's going to stay in the deck, but then Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx, Fart on a Cracker. Oh. Yawgmoth, Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth. like we were just in a deck. I don't think we're going to be drawing as many cards, but let's just go back. Generic black deck. What else did you have? Do we want a Phyrexian Tower? Do we want... You know, we kind of do want Volra's Stronghold. So what are we at? We're at 34. Let's just go over here to land base. Come up Bojuka Bog, Witch's Cottage, Phyrexian Tower. You know, we'll Myriad Landscape. I just want to be slightly different. Oh, this thing. That we can sacrifice creatures to draw cards equal to its power. Yeah. You know, and maybe Baradur? Did that get us to 37? Yes. Okay. That's our 37. Just to me, marginally different. Getting the... I missed. Mana value equals 2. Arcane Signet. Charcoal Diamond. Cold Steel Heart. Close this. Felwar Stone. Mind Stone. The Iron Crag. Thought Vessel. Now to our removal suite. Instant. I forgot if I put the colon in there or not. O. Target. Order. CMC. Destroy or... Oh, I did a semicolon there. This is why we look. Exile. We can ignore basically all of 1 mana value. So when we get into 2 mana value, that we got to pay attention. I like Bitter Triumph. Cast down. Depressurize is so interesting. It lowers its power, and then if its power is 0, it's destroyed. That feels super niche and not in the kind of nonsense that we go into. Go for the Throat, Heartless Act, Infernal Grasp. Arc Enemy's Charm. Not a whole lot in 3 that we pay attention to anymore. There we go. Withering Torment. Baleful Mastery. Deadly Relic. And drag to the underworld. That gives us 9 pieces of removal normally. Let's see. Oh, and then since we're in a still mono black, put our good friend Gary. Oh, we have 10 pieces of removal. I do feel like there should be 11, and I don't know what I missed. But I'm fine. I don't know. That probably didn't come up when I cracked my neck. It wasn't that loud, but I heard it. So now we can start doing other stuff. Primal Odin, Xenos, take off that. Strixhaven Stadium just for the giggles. Vraska the Scheming Gorgon. And we change opponent to player. Whenever enchanted player casts a spell, put a spike counter on it. That's a novel way to lose the game if that takes a while. We may as well put in Phage the Untouchable, and just got to make sure you cast it. Vorpal Sword. We can play around with Triskaidekaphobia. But we can play around with Curse of Vengeance, and then sure. These, what, 10 cards are just all there for extra stuff that Sengir, the Dark Baron, cares about. Now, here's the thing. This gives all creatures -2/-2, even our own, not till end of turn, but until he transforms. So you gotta make sure that you don't have anything on the field that's going to go away that you care about. But we're going to put him in finisher. We're going to put Primal Odin in finisher. Because he'll theoretically finish somewhere. And you know what? Just to limit, we're going to put this in finishers as well, even though that's the least likely thing. Phage the Untouchable is also a finisher if we want to be pedantic. She does get to stay in removal because that -3 is, if we're being honest, is the most likely thing, but I am going to just put her in finisher because I want to put them all. I want to put all of them in the same place. Because these cause the loss of the game. This doesn't. It just says that when they lose. at 68 cards, and we have 5 creatures. We definitely want more creatures. I wonder if I'm going to put some of the stuff from some more stuff from the generic black deck. You know, we definitely want stuff that creates creatures that we can sacrifice to Tevesh Szat if we want to draw cards. Let's see. Oh, we're going to go Endless Atlas. We're also going to do Idol of Oblivion because Tevesh Szat makes tokens. Is that guy's name Jadar? Yeah, I'm glad I remembered his name. This guy, and then nice Ophiomancer. We can't. Well, we're gonna want other things to sacrifice for to get those to maximize snakes. But hey, that's card draw right there. And Sengir only cares about other creatures dying. It doesn't care whose creature it is. So our creature dying are just as good for him as anything else. Let's see, what else? We're going to put this Shieldred and this Shieldred in here. The Virtue of Persistence. We're not gonna put in our protection equipment. I've decided because like our main commanders are so expensive, and I honestly don't care about anybody else. Let's see. Oh well, Palisade was a good idea, I guess. Anyway, T O swamp additional. I want those two things. The Cryptghast and the Revenant. And the Magus of the Coffers. It's funny that this weird design space went out of style. Oh, forgot the Jet Medallion. We are at 79. I am going to put this back by type. So we want at least 8 more creatures. We probably want more creatures. You know what? That makes 2 black thralls. Let's put an Ayara. Ayara. She had her own deck, and now she's in this deck. We're going to go T creature O destroy again, because that's just fun. Oh, but we need to put in those other things. Minus O, cast. Minus O, damage. We don't need any of those words. Oh, O enters. There. So we want the Dalek drone again. Cavalier of Night actually gets to go here, because there's a chance that we can just sacrifice a Thrall. And when he himself dies, we can get a cheap creature back. Alright, Overseer of the Dam, Noxious Giller Hulk. We don't want the mill one. There was another. Yep, there's the other 40k one. That's the one we want. The Ravenous Chupacabra, the Patron of the Vein. Now we're at 21 creatures. Now we go. Summon Ba. What does Bahamut do? Did I just not see him? Was I just being dumb? T creature, O destroy. Oh, he doesn't have enters on him because it's a lore counter thing. And then we want the Cityscape Leveler. So that puts us at 23 creatures. I'm happy with that number of creatures. Really is only Argentum Armor and Ultima Weapon, huh? Because that other thing I like is literally just an artifact. Is that how it was? Yep, Spine of Ishsa. But if you ever have a way to sacrifice an artifact, we're at 93 for the record, which I don't think we do, and because we're in mono black we can't even destroy our own artifacts. But if someone else Vandal Blasts it after we get it out, we can go, it goes back to our hand. But still, we're paying 7 mana to destroy a total permanent with the possibility of getting it back. Maybe we don't need this one in this one. We probably didn't need this in the last one. Let's go back to categories, because you are removal for me. I missed overkill. There we go. So 93. Oh, whoops. This also goes in removal. I did forget to change those things in Urza's deck, but that's fine. So let's search. So we have 7 spots. What sorceries does it want us to have? Feed the Swarm, Toxic Deluge, Reanimate, Insanguinate. Dread Return, return target creature. Yeah, no, okay. That's all very interesting stuff that I'm not putting in this deck. Planeswalkers, Liliana Dreadhorde General, and Liliana of the Dark Realms. I can see that. Instance, Dark Ritual, I understand. Enchantments, what do we got? Oh, black. Oh, right. Whenever a creature dies, put a charge count on a black market. I understand. Black market connections, yeah. That costs 5 though, so I'm avoiding that. Necropotence. Blood Bond. Yeah, we're not doing that. Oh, Bitter Blossom, because that gives us free creatures. That's another thing. And they are... Oh, they are black fairies. So if we wanted to go back to Ayara, and if there's anything in there that I wanted to trade out, we can do that really quick. I believe the Spine of Ishsa is in here. Oh, it actually avoided being in this one. I understand why the Phyrexian language version is the least expensive, because no one wants it because you can't read it. Unless you bother to learn Phyrexian, which is a real language. That is a real script. You can translate that and it'll be consistent. Why? Also, I think their language is supposed to be vertical. So it's not so much that it's entirely in strikeout. It's that it's all like on a line going down. That's mildly interesting. You know what? We could take out our good friend Underworld Connections. For bit Turby. There we go. You fools. So we still have 5 spots. So we go over here. We ignored that. We were in enchantments, I think. Like, we're not doing Grave Pact. Let's just do Phyrexian Arena. Oh, and Dreadhorde Invasion is a backup for that other one. Giving our stuff lifelink I don't think we need that. Let's go to artifacts. Lightning Greaves, Ashenhead's Altar, Bolus of Citadel. We're not there. Oh, Skull Clamp, because we're kind of making a lot of. Oh, I like Darkness Crystal. We're not making that many 1/1s. We only have like 2 cards in the deck, and those have to come up. Black creature spells specifically. We have 24 total creature spells. But let's see what creatures. Blood Artist, blah, blah, blah. Oh, the Pitiless Plunder and the Morbid Opportunist will be the last 2. Notice how we're avoiding the Mirkwood Bats. Kirksung of Yawgmoth and Massacre Worm were also could be in this deck. But we are making it slightly different than the other one. Just slightly. So now we do this, and this, and this, and I hadn't changed out my swamps yet. So unselect, go find my swamps. What swamps do we want? Liliana herself is Doom of Fools, but her card is 249. 99 cents for these ones. Never noticed the dude there. That's the first time I noticed the dude there. There's that one from Duskmourn. This one from Assassin's Creed. Where's the other one from Assassin's Creed? Could have swore the swamp had another different art. Now I'm confused. You know what the real Doom of Fools is? Caring about your land, the way your lands look, and ending up spending way too much money. It's also mildly interesting to see. Yeah, let's play $2 a land for those, just to be done. So next week we're probably going to be running through the Gruul colors because they're the last 2. So I'll see you then for that. Later.